Hi, 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 hi. How are we doing today? Uh, yeah, in case you're wondering, it's funny, dude. Just last week, the temperature was about, I think, 3, and today it's about 19. Such beautiful weather, and it's been like sunny beautifully for the past 3 days. So, like, the whole, I want to say, earth in Lebanon, the country, kind of warmed up a bit. So, even the water that comes from the tank, man, is a bit like hot. So, fun stuff. But today's video, hear me out. Objective appeal implying feelings towards life. Subjective opinions of ourselves on why we project the thing. So, appeal or approach? I think it's the objective approach and subjective approach. One is feelings towards life, and one is the opinion of ourselves. So, here's the thing, the way I wrote this note is kind of stating that my feelings are objective whilst my opinion is subjective. How does that make sense? It really does to me, but I'm going to try to understand why while I'm talking to you guys. And welcome to another episode of Fuck Your Brains. So, the objective approach is okay, so both of them are projections, right? The subjective approach is a projection of our opinion of ourselves, we're projecting that. Whilst an objective approach is the feelings, and we're projecting that. So the subjective approach, which is supposed to be based on me and directly basically related to me, is being met here with an opinion, which I have recently discussed as more of a judgment of our reality. So an opinion on of ourselves kind of creates the involvement that will require any approach to kind of like exist subjectively within me, right? Because subjective means I'm involved in it, so this is how I'm looking at it. Whilst objective is I'm not involved in it versus, which means this is how I'm looking at it. But then again, an objective approach is represented by our feelings towards life in general, which means even when we're looking at something in an objective way, we're still kind of biased towards how we see the world and how we see reality. Whilst if we're looking at something in a subjective way, we're not biased. We're kind of creating a different truth based on whatever we're projecting. Because there's a high chance we're going to paint it any way we feel like painting it, not necessarily how it is. So the objective approach allows us to take a picture, whilst the subjective allows us to make a painting. But the objective approach allows us to dye the picture with all the different shades that we could actually muster up as feelings, right? Like if it's a bad one, a gloomy one, a happy one, a perky one. The objective approach responds to how we see our life and how we look at all these beautiful things around us and, in a way, kind of like just paint whatever, no, filter whatever we care for and whatever we don't care for from within our own like visual reality. It's impressive. Okay. Whilst the subjective approach is very much how we ourselves would be biased towards what we're looking at. And that basically effectively means that we're no longer just removing or adding stuff and putting filters in between us and what we're seeing. What we're really doing is kind of like painting it in our own image, right? Because that's what God did. He made us in His image. And that's practically what we do when we're passing judgments because only God can judge, right? I don't know. I'm talking nonsense for some fucking reason. But I'm enjoying this nonsense and I hope it's entertaining for you guys. So when you're subjectively approaching something, you're really just projecting. Well, both of them is projections, but one is a true base opinion, a true base judgment, a true like minimalistic I guess it's anytime you're approaching something subjectively, you're kind of removing all effort, basically, when it comes to handling yourself when it comes to the thing. Whilst when you're approaching it objectively, you're kind of you're detaching yourself from that, and you're kind of removing any feeling towards it, and you're only relying on your overall mood, basically, towards life or how your perception about life is. Uh, fuck, man. Yeah, it's the opinion of ourselves that's kind of killing me. Because then, are we ever taking, whenever we're personally involved in something, we really are just shining a light on how we would like it. It has nothing, it almost has nothing to do with the thing, which means we're not really in any mode of appreciation. We're not really in any mode of maybe open mindedness, I guess. When we're subjectively approaching something, effectively the way we see ourselves is the way we see it. Whilst when we're objectively approaching something, it's the way we see the world, is the way we see it. And it's funny because like I really think both of them are wrong because both of them are based on our own basically delusion. One is based on subjective attitude is based on our judgments and our rational understanding and rational decision making, which kind of like which normally is what screws with us because like we don't really understand why we're making them, but we're making these decisions to protect ourselves most of the time. It's the whole like when most decisions we do are based on our own survival instincts because we as the human body and the brain is negatively biased. Like think of it this way: if you do something that's uncomfortable, the next time you look at something that reminds you of it, you're going to feel uncomfortable. Like fire, for example, or something hot. It only takes you once to burn yourself. And anytime you see fire, you're going to be thinking, hey, I don't want to do it, right? Whilst from an objective perspective, you're kind of like dismissing yourself from the whole like interaction, relationship with whatever that thing is. And you're basically applying you're removing any form of uniqueness from it. Again, like subjectively approaching something. I have no fucking idea what you guys are approaching. It could be your fucking. It could be a relationship. It could be a friend. Sorry, I'm not gonna say relationship because we're approaching things, and there's always a relationship based on my philosophy, naturally. So whoever's keeping up so far, everything is a relationship. Me and my phone is a relationship. Me and my copybook is a relationship. Me with pens. Me with writing. Me with opening my mouth, me with closing my mouth. They're all different relationships that kind of reveal themselves. So, objectively subjective and subjectively objective means we have to have an opinion on the feelings we have towards the world. And basically, we have to have feelings towards the opinions we have of ourselves. And then, if we're able to kind of like engage with these two things on the same plane, then effectively it's more of a balance because, at the very least, like 3 out of 4 actually go somewhere. Because if you only have two things to kind of balance out, it's clear. It's one will win and the other won't. But 3 out of 4, you're kind of like increasing different odds. So at the very least, by you're considering your opinions towards your feelings. No, by considering your feelings towards your own personal opinions. And by considering your opinions towards your external feelings. Effectively, you're creating the perfect balance and the perfect relationship with anything you're approaching. It becomes a subjectively objective approach and an objectively subjective approach. I think we cracked the code, babe. Honey, honey. I'm joking, nobody's home. It's not like nobody's home. There's nobody around. All right, cool beans. That was fucking awkward. But yeah, man, I would love to actually like have this discussion profoundly with somebody. But I got these guys. I'm gonna discuss this with them for a bit after we're done with this video. And I'm also gonna take a note. Is having an actual all right, I think this is a video. I'm gonna like take 5 minutes to just write down exactly what I was thinking and like flesh it out properly. And maybe it'll be a different video later on. But I think we're onto something. Don't you? Oh, okay. No, 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 you don't have to answer. You're perfectly fine. What? Okay. So even if we differ in opinions, remember it's just entertainment. Bye.